I haven't had 3 years out the ring this time. This time I had a few months out the ring, and I'm back, return of the Mac, the lineal champion. Bring him on!
The last month or two, in terms of heavyweight boxing, have been as big as ever. With a newly crowned unified champion, the shakeup has thrown boxing's premier division wide open.
Let's go! Let's go!
And now, with fans anticipating the next undisputed king, the sport sits proudly under a beaming spotlight.
This is a master clash right now!
One that, after Anthony Joshua's fall from grace, widely considers Tyson Fury as the number one. And whilst the ultimate crown awaits, the future looks as promising as ever for a man back from the brink. Comfortably putting away Schwartz this weekend, adding another tally to his unbeaten resume. The Wilder rematch looms, considering the Bronze Bomber's dynamite display in September, looking set, fingers crossed, for a 2020 mega fight.
One of the most extraordinary final rounds you would ever see.
Fury now stands as the only Deontay Wilder opponent who hasn't been knocked out, a title that was briefly held by Stiverne 2 years ago. However, past rematches for the American have provided a chance to erase all doubts, swiftly and brutally. So whilst the Joshua-Ruiz rematch also hangs in the balance, we await a collision of the sport's biggest, loudest, and most charismatic figures. And so we look at 8 reasons why right now, Wilder Fury 2 is the biggest fight in boxing. Welcome to a Motivedia presentation.
It was punch perfect. It was a real statement of intent to everybody in the heavyweight division to stake his claim as the number one spot.
Unorthodox and unpredictable in every sense, Tyson Fury has produced some of boxing's most memorable moments over the last 10 years.
You never fought a Gypsy King before, have you? You never fought a king before. You're looking at one of your pal, me.
With his own concoction of liveliness, humor, and drama that no opponent has really known how to deal with.
That's all he is.
And when matched with Wilder's mean streak and his Bronze Bomber guise, it generates a clash of characters worthy of its own Marvel film.
You can't get in my head, but you will pay for every word that you say.
Most importantly, after stepping through the ropes, they each back up their words, putting everything on the line. And reigniting the age-old debate of speed versus power, the clash truly ticks every box for casuals and purists alike.
Stung Ruiz, and Ruiz right back to Joshua, and Joshua in trouble.
Andy Ruiz Jr. gate-crashed the heavyweight triangle, knocking Joshua's name out of the equation and putting the first loss on his resume. Now, in a true all-or-nothing rematch, Joshua's undisputed dreams are up in the air. And with one champion's loss comes another's gain, making the Fury-Wilder fight seem like the undisputed clash the world has waited for.
Well, if you're watching, Deontay, I'm coming for you, baby!
Whilst Joshua is still the biggest draw in terms of pulling power, if he loses the rematch, it could send his career spiraling.
And he's got to win the fight. It's a must-win fight. You know, it's almost like if you don't win, go home.
In which case, up steps Ruiz to fight for the sport's ultimate crown.
They've made their decision to go straight back into the rematch, and if nothing changes,
Ask and you shall receive. Ask and you'll receive.
There's only one Bronze Bomber.
Commotion, audacity, and alter egos. We saw the best and worst of both men in the build-up to the first fight.
Yeah, I can see it now. I can see it. I can see the alter ego coming through.
Don't you feel
You and your alter ego are a pack of bombs.
Promises of blood, sweat, and tears. Something that almost sounded too good to be true.
scared, man?
But where fiery trash talking sometimes ends in disappointment, this one met every word.
WBC and lineal heavyweight championship of the world.
Both flaunting their own styles, Fury's speed, Wilder's power. Almost playing out like the Gypsy King's very own Rocky story, until the final announcement.
It is a split decision draw.
either way, with both sides having reason to feel they won, and both sides having confidence going into the rematch, we have the perfect script for a barnstormer.
Anybody who these two guys put in front of me, it doesn't really matter. The outcome will always be the same.
Momentum in boxing is one of the craziest aspects of the sport. As we've watched over the last 2 years, Fury's journey has now taken a complete 360. Where Joshua failed to impress in his US debut, the Gypsy King's reputation across the pond has grown exponentially.
He is absolutely gold. He really is.
Whilst Wilder keeps doing what he does best, Tyson's antics, backed up by his skills, have made him an immediate hit. And the version of him we saw in the build-up to last weekend may even be the slickest, sharpest version we've seen yet. So, for two prime heavyweights, there may never be a better time.
For me, I'm blessing them again to come back to America and rerun this thing. There can be one champion, one face, one name. We got to see.
As we've seen, one punch changes everything.
Oh my goodness!
And whilst Wilder holds the more explosive power, Fury's Schwartz display showed, given chance, he too can pile on the pressure.
It looked crisp, it looked sharp, it looked powerful. The guy's face, Schwartz's face, was messed up, and it wasn't a long time he was in the ring.
Though it's the stylistic extremities of the two fighters that leaves both open to a career-changing loss.
19 first-round KOs.
Fury could be totally wiped out at any stage from Wilder's freakish power. Likewise, Deontay could be made to look painfully amateurish on the night. And whilst these are only what-ifs, they're the kind that, sparking the imagination, bring the masses flooding. Great fighters can return from a loss, but it's the risk factor that makes this fight such a spectacle.
That judge had me losing the first 6 rounds, so ridiculous. I'm not sure what he was watching or where he's got his refereeing skills from, his judging skills rather.
Controversy sells. And from that first fight, there are thousands of ifs, buts, and maybes, leaving both sets of fans with plenty to say.
Again there, just tucking inside that right hand.
Fury comes back with a solid right hand of his own and a left hook. Good work from Fury.
And whilst the general consensus was that Fury, outboxing and outsmarting Wilder, deserved a points victory, the judge's decision ruled that the American's vicious right hand had got him out of trouble once again.
I don't know how he got up.
Though whilst this leaves high expectations for fans of the Gypsy King, history doesn't bode so well.
11,000 in attendance here at Barclays.
The last man to take Wilder the distance was annihilated in just 1 round.
Thor's hammer, and here in round 1, he is Ragnarok style.
Right. The people who said, what's Fury doing in there?
I said it.
Already being labeled the biggest fight in world boxing, the expectations are mounting. More so, with top-ranked promoter Bob Arum predicting pay-per-view buys.
I can't see why that fight won't equal or surpass the numbers that were done on the Mayweather fight.
And claims that, in theory, would make it the biggest heavyweight encounter since Tyson-Lewis.
Lennox Lewis got revenge.
A matchup that will bring rivalries on all fronts, nations, promoters, and fighters.
To this day!
And a night that would only be given justice by being held at one of Las Vegas's biggest venues.
Boxing is like the weather; it changes up all the time. You know, even when you think you have something set in stone, the next minute it changes.
Whilst it has seemed an eternity coming, in 1 year's time the gateways could be open to boxing's biggest title. Something Deontay Wilder has called for ever since coming on the scene. One champion, one face, one name.
Let me feel this power on the Alabama Slammer. Come on, get up.
The undisputed champion of the world. And whilst Joshua faces the toughest test of his career to keep his name in the running, it's the Fury-Wilder rematch which presents the biggest step forward towards becoming the best heavyweight of our generation.
Big plans coming this year. Big, big, big.
Both have stern tests in the meantime, and we remain ever aware that one bad night can throw everything into disrepute. Pulev looks likely to be next for Fury in late September, and Wilder against Ortiz. So whilst the heavyweight triangle welcomes its new addition, the time for one to reign supreme looks closer than ever. Ricky Bailey has been going through a 3-week dry spell, keeping things in a real test of his guts. His trainer stated that Ricky has things moving again, and the next time he appears is going to make a monumental splash. He's full of rhythm, he's full of soul, he's full of scatological rock and roll. Ricky Bailey at the Porcelain Throne, in an event we pray to God will never be a Motivedia presentation.